We play and call it work.
Hey everybody,
Zombies and ghouls.
and welcome to this week's episode of the Sit and Talk, where I'm going to sit here and answer a bunch of questions that you left on the last video. Now, last week was Luka, and he's going to sit in on this Sit and Talk for a couple of reasons. One, we had just recorded the Lumineth Realm Lord Battle Report, Battle Tome review, and also I'm not feeling great, and Luka's here to help keep up my energy.
Not like sickly, just tired.
Yeah.
He's not like dying.
I'm not, well,
People-
we're all dying slowly.
Oh, it's
right?
true. We're all dying slowly. Yeah.
But I'm going to live forever. But Luka's going to help keep up my energy today. And actually, a lot of questions are kind of directed at his last Sit and Talk, so he can weigh in and he can call me a liar if I ever lie in my response to you guys, which I don't think I ever do.
That's fair.
But sometimes I make up stories. All right, let's get into it. So you know how this works. I'm going to sit here for about an hour or so, depending on how long we ramble. And then I'm just going to answer the questions you left on the last Sit and Talk video. Now, next week is going to be Matthew. So you want to ask Matthew any questions, go to MiniWarGaming.com on the website. Find this video if you're not watching it there. Write at Matthew and your question, and he will respond to it next week for sure.
This talk became 50% longer because I'm here, by the way.
Oh, at least.
Yep.
Well, I mean, Luke and I have had weird film scheduling where it's been hard for me to squeeze in my Sit Talks, so they've been short.
Yeah.
You got a slightly different thing than I do, but you still have the long ones. I don't know how you're getting the long ones in.
I was sitting talking. I can do it all day. I can do this 24 hours straight. That's why I was more than happy to help Steve out on this one, or just jump in and say my 2 cents.
Yeah. All right. So the first question is from I Am Simple. Hey Steve, have you ever thought of trying out Grashnik Falhost as a caster for your beloved Beast of Chaos? Always love watching you play. He just got a spell that gives +1 to hit to a unit, and just thought it's something different for you. It would maybe help your Bulgors. So what this guy is for Luka is he is the Shadespire with Warband, but the leader is he's actually a shaman, and his spell is amazing. It's +1 to hit.
Okay.
Which really offsets the badness of the Bulgors. Yes, I've never gotten around to buying the model.
Yeah.
I've never gotten around to it, and it's hard for me to allocate time to painting a miniature for an army that I really shouldn't be playing anymore.
Right. Yeah.
So if I go buy him right now, paint him up right now, and then the next time I have to play Sigmar, I will play my Beast of Chaos, and I'll end up going up against something like, I don't know, like a brand new army or something, and like it won't make sense.
The problem is they're pumping out so much new content for both 40K and AOS that I feel like as much as we do record Age of Sigmar, I feel like and 40K both. I feel like we don't at the same time. You know.
Okay, that's interesting. Luka, it's funny because a couple of days ago, Luka was like, "Come on, guys, just want to play some 40K."
Yeah.
Or Sigmar. We're doing a bunch of other things
right.
you guys haven't actually probably seen yet.
We do a lot. We do a lot of other things that you guys haven't seen yet either, as of this. And every time we do get a chance to play 40K or AOS, there's always something new that just came out, and it's just like, oh, we should showcase that. Absolutely, we should. Right. So like, obviously, Beasts of Chaos nothing's been announced for them. The next newest thing for Age of Sigmar coming out will be the Soulblight Gravelords. No idea when they're coming out.
You'll jump all over that.
I don't jump all over that, and if it's just me and Steve recording, he's not going to want to play Beasts of Chaos against that.
Yeah.
Assuming he's not going to want to play Beasts of Chaos against that.
I'll play
Plus, you also have, Heat Knights just came out. We got new Heat Knight models.
Okay,
so Steve's got to play Heat Knights, right?
I've gotten Heat Knight model. They're being painted by painting commission people, and they come in, and I've had 2 sets come in, and I still haven't had a chance to use even the last batch.
Right. We're typically very busy.
Yeah, I have a lot more. So it's weird where this is, not a lot of people fully understand this, but this is our full-time job. We work, I was going to say Monday to Friday, 9 to 5. We used to do that. We do a little differently now. But we work, 40 hours a week in the studio recording games. And there are times when all we do is we come in, record a couple of games, go home, and do the same thing the next day.
Yeah.
But lately, for some weird reason, it's been just 1,000 other little things. We can't squeeze in what we want to do, and jonesing to play the game that we are paid to play for a living, that's a good thing. I've been doing this for 7 years. You've been doing this for like 4 or 5 years. You've been 5 years now, right?
4 this May.
I think you're close to 5, no?
No, 4 this May.
Oh, it's 4 this May. Okay. So Luke's been doing this for 4 years. I've been doing this for 7 years. We play probably anywhere from 4 to 8 games a week, sometimes more. Sometimes more.
Sometimes less.
Sometimes less, you're right.
Yeah.
And we still get like, come on, I haven't played 40K in a bit.
Right.
I want to play some 40K.
Yeah, well, like when you're playing games like Horus Heresy, Warhammer Fantasy, you have Age of Sigmar 40K. You do the other games like right now I'm doing like Bolt Action, and I swear there's more. Well, we did the Kickstarter project. There's often Kickstarter projects. There's often like literal board games as well. Sometimes those are on Kickstarter and they want to showcase those, and they come to us and we do that for them.
But then we'll go through weird stretches where
I was gonna
there's
say-
nothing
Yeah.
and there's no new releases coming from Games Workshop. Now, granted, that hasn't happened in a couple of years.
Right.
But we'll go for like 6 months of nothing new. We're like, okay, well, I'm kind of done playing 40K for a bit. We've done it 1,000 times.
Yeah.
And then one new thing comes out, and all of a sudden everything's
Everyone wants to,
again.
like a new chapter proof comes out, or like everyone finally starts getting their new codexes coming out. Like imagine how excited Matt will be when like Gene Stealer Cult and or Tyranids.
Oh
get
no!
a codex.
When either of those books, like Matt's gonna do a bunch of 40K.
Oh
and,
yeah, he will.
for
He's
sure.
like he's the boss. He's
this
the
is
boss.
we're recording 40K this week.
Yeah.
So yeah, in your response to why I don't own Grishnook or whatever it is, Grishak, Fellhoof, why I don't own him yet is because we play a lot and we're busy, and I don't want to allocate time to painting a model, even though it probably takes me I take 2 hours.
Yeah, you can do it.
4 hours worst case scenario.
But let's not allude to the fact that you're painting Dark Souls, Deepkin.
Deepkin.
You're
Well,
playing
because the world's kind of in a lockdown, there's not a lot to do. Yeah. I leave work, I paint until I fall asleep, and then sometimes I wake up, I paint a little bit before I come into work, and I'm painting nonstop, and I feel like I'm drowning again in miniatures. I can't keep up.
Yeah, you got Deepkin, you have your Dark Angels, you got just 2 repulses today you got to paint up. Now we're working on a Path to Glory. Is this like, I don't know, do we announce yet?
I don't know, we can talk about that, yeah. We are working on a Path to Glory.
In the form of a slow grow.
Well, like a true Path to Glory. So basically, a week ago, we rolled up what we had to start our armies with, our little Path to Glory factions with. Yep. We went up to the store upstairs and we ordered those models. Mine haven't come in yet. Some of yours have. Yep. Dave's haven't come in yet. And then we're going to paint them.
Yep.
Everybody's painting their own stuff. Then we're going to play a game. Then we're going to roll out a new unit. Then we're going to order it. Like this can take us months to film. This can take us a long time to film, and then we're gonna put the series out afterwards. We're gonna do a proper Path to Glory.
Yeah, so where it's just like Steve says, it's slow go. We're gonna be playing with Crusade rules, where we upgrade our use through Crusade, and the end goal will still be a Path to Glory victory, where you gain so much glory, and then you ascend. We have rules for that built in. And then whoever wins while ascended wins the campaign, right? And then from there, we're going to fill the holes in our slow grow armies because it's random and out of our control. And then we'll have proper armies. We're all starting brand new armies. It's all Xenos.
Everybody's got a Xenos army.
It's all Xenos. I'm doing Drukari. Steve's doing Craft World Eldar again. Josh is doing Harlequins. Tau for Cullen.
The Cullen.
And then Dave is doing Orcs. It's all Xenos, Path to Glory, Crusade, campaign. Not like overly narrative. It's just playing Crusade missions.
And Matthew wasn't even remotely interested in painting up an army.
I know, and that was it. Like Matthew, do you want to do like? But then for Matt, he's already got like a 70,000 point Tyranid army. He's already got like a 10,000 point Gene Stealer Cult army.
He could have did a different one. He could have did Necrons again, or I would have went to another one. He could have taken Craftworld Elder. He talked about being interested in Elder.
Okay.
Either way, he didn't want to paint.
Right, and then Matthew's like, I don't want to paint.
I will shame him.
I don't want to paint. I don't want to paint.
But he refused.
Yeah, that's fair.
And that's why I don't have Gresher Fellhoof.
That's why. What's the next question?
All right, Captain Obvious. Luka, you should. All right, Luka, you should read God's Ghost. I personally think this series is the best 40K books Games Workshop has made.
I've heard this.
So detailed so detailed that you just want to read more every time.
So Gaunt's Ghosts is a long series. Not saying it's like overwhelmingly long. It's not on Audible, and that's the main reason I chose not to do it.
Has that ruined you for books as well?
I haven't properly read a book since what was it? I read in high school because I had to, but I didn't mind reading. It was okay, but I was always more in a video game, so like it's hard to justify. Like I have free time, am I going to read it? No, I'd rather go play like World of Warcraft or something. So I played video games instead. I would read required reading, and then I would read things that I found interesting. So like Game of Thrones season 1 came out, and I watched it and I loved it. I think a lot of people it was like captivating. It was so good. Yeah. This is based on a book, and the book is like already like seasons ahead. Absolutely, I'm going to read that. So I bought all of the Song of Ice and Fire books up until...
Did you go through them all?
Yeah, boom, just powered right through them all.
Really? Did you enjoy them?
Yeah, I like the books a lot, yeah.
Okay, because I went through a similar thing. I caught it on HBO. I'm like, what is this Game of Thrones? Whatever, I'll give it a shot. Like, first episode, okay, I'm in. I'll watch the show.
Absolutely, yeah.
I finished it. I found out it was based off a novel series, which everything is nowadays. I'm like, all right, I'm going to try this out. So I bought the book.
Yeah.
I bought the paperback, right? Yeah. And the first one.
I did digital.
I started reading, and I'm like... Okay, I couldn't finish the book. I typically always, no matter what, I always finish a book. Mm-hmm. I couldn't finish this book.
Right.
I'm not by any means a critic.
Right?
But like my problem. Okay, so I think George R. R. Martin is a fantastic storyteller and a horrible writer.
Right. I've heard this. I've heard this before.
I couldn't get through it.
That's fair. I mean, that's fact. That's like fact right there. You can get through it.
But fantastic. He built a fantastic world. Everything up to season 7 was really good.
I can't even remember. Was it A Storm of Swords? Is that the last book? I can't remember what the name of the last book is. He's working. It's been like it took him 11 years to finish that last book that was printed. He's still working on one right now. It's a slow process there. So I don't know. I'll read it once it comes out. I read them all. There's a lot they left out of the show. Obviously, I'm not going to say anything because the spoilers if you're going to read the books. But I thought they were excellent. That's kind of my first taste of reading as an adult. I'll say as an adult because I was like my early 20s. I did that. And then I went to go read. I'm like, you know what? I've never read the Lord of the Rings proper, like the Hobbit and all that.
That's another one.
And I read all that too. Oh man, it took a long time to get to Rivendell. Let me tell you, it takes a long time to get to Rivendell. Oh, it is a long read.
I hated the Lord of the Rings novels so much that when I was like 15, I think, when the movies came out, I'm like, I'm not going to see this piece of crap movie. And then my buddy dragged me. I'm like, okay, fine, I'll go, whatever.
Oh, excellent.
And I'm like, oh my god, this is good. This was in the books. Yeah. They're not even seeing.
So I read those. And then I in high school, I read like some Harry Potters, I guess, required reading in high school. I don't know. Well, I read one book I thought was good, was Hatchet. I think it was called Hatchet. Yeah, and then Into the Wild. Those are a couple books I read. Those are
Into the Wild was good. Yeah.
So I thought those were excellent books.
I feel I need to, like, I've said this 1,000 times, everybody here. I feel I need to qualify something. Even to this day, I don't like fantasy novels. I've never gotten into them. It was always a struggle for me to get into fantasy. Even sci-fi is hard for me. I love fantasy games, movies,
the settings,
video. I love it. Sci-fi, I love it to death. I never could get behind those for novels.
Hey man, novels aren't forever. Like I don't like to read. I don't read now, so I stopped reading after that. And then I don't know. I was driving to and from work.
What's the last book you read?
Like physically read?
Yeah.
It would have been the Lord of the Rings series. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, which was like
Mine was
5 years ago, I think.
Dan Brown Origin, I think was the last one I did.
That
was last year.
Since I started listening to audiobooks, I think I'm on 65.
My problem with audiobooks,
While you're talking, I'll go look it up.
Yeah, I really do enjoy audiobooks. My issue with them is I use them for when I go for walks or for a drive. Like when I drive, I have like a 30-minute drive into work.
I got a 50-minute drive.
Yeah, you do it longer than I do. I live in it doesn't matter. So I feel like when I stop the car, I'm done my walk or whatever, I want to keep going. So I personally rather read the book, though I do have a lot of audiobooks.
It's 58 audiobooks I've done.
58.
58 is just two.
Oh, have you ever tried any audio dramas?
Some of them incidentally became audio dramas. They're fine.
So I bought one of the Age of Sigmar ones. Something about the red. I can't remember, but like the sword sound effects and the music. I'm like, no, I'm out. I'm trying to get fancy. I'm trying to give because Matthew was talking great how much he loves like the novels of the Sigmar universe. I'm trying to understand the expanded universe.
That'll help you understand it.
Right. I'm like the first one I bought. I didn't realize it was an audio drama. I'm like, no, I'm out. I can't do that kind of stuff.
I think there's been a couple of most of those. So it was 58. Yeah, most of those are Horus Heresy novels. I'm almost done the Horus Heresy.
That's insane. That's insane.
I'm almost done the Horus Heresy series. We're getting there. We're on Titan Death now. I'm taking a break though, and I'm doing Pariah, which is a Dan Abnett Beckwin novel series. It's just like it's actually a big twist. I hit a twist and I'm like, I didn't see that coming.
I would like to read. I think it's Dan Abnett. Caiaphas Cain.
I know Kenny read that and he loved that.
Yeah, that's one I want to get around to.
Apparently, the synopsis of that is he's supposed to be a kind of like a incidentally heroic character.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a coward, but like he does these like he runs away, but like he'll trip on something that like triggers an explosion.
Yeah, he's the savior of humanity accidentally.
Right, and like no one realizes he's just a coward. That's like the idea there, yeah.
Well, I think he thinks he's a coward is the idea, right?
Oh, maybe, I don't know. I haven't read it. Sorry, but the question about the only reason I haven't read Gaunt's Ghost is because it wasn't on Audible. I think a couple of them are, like the more recent ones, but I wanted to read from the beginning.
Aren't the Gaunt's Ghosts, like they're like killing space marines with like phase daggers and stuff like that? Like,
I have no idea.
These are just regular humans. I'm not buying it.
Right, he's a commissar, I'm pretty sure, and it's just his like little...
I think they were all... I think this is so old.
It is an old series.
They were all ex-penal colony guys.
Yes.
They are, okay.
Yeah. That's what
I think these have models for the whole
I think
they did?
do,
okay. Yeah. All right, Voldest the Boldest.
Nice.
Hey, Steve, nice job with the Dark Angels. Do you think in the upcoming Dark Angels campaign or the Custodians for Cornworks, we'll see different factions besides the ones we saw in the main narrative to switch it up a little bit? Maybe seeing one faction of the 5 from the Hungry Nexus make an appearance. Almost certainly, yes, that is going to happen. Though narrative questions should be asked to Matthew, so it's a good idea if you're watching this video. ask again right now to Matthew.
He's next week.
We were talking, was it today? I think we were talking about today a little bit. That was today. He wants to expand the Tyranids, the Necro, like every faction that was involved in that campaign will be expanded upon.
Yeah.
Which means you're going to see tidbits of other ones pop up in each other's campaigns.
Exactly, that's the idea. And
Sorry,
like, he tries to keep the narrative details more secretive from us, so that's like mostly a surprise as we play. So he's the kind of the mastermind of it all.
He runs things past us and gets this. Like, he bounces stuff off of us, but like the final narrative stuff, we will never know until we play it, which is for the best.
Yeah, it's for the best. It's more exciting that way.
Mordaka. Hello, Lord Steve. Buddy, do not do that. I am very arrogant as it is.
Lord Steve.
I am but a humble viewer who enjoys all content made by MiniWarGaming, except shooting orcs. Now we got beef.
He actually just straight up said, I don't like shooting orcs.
He put it in brackets, though, except shooting orcs.
Oh, okay, that's the one thing. You know what? That's okay. It's okay to dislike that. I do too.
Luka loves shooting orcs.
No.
I first want to thank you for all your good humor and bat reps. Your interactions with the others are always fun to watch. I have two questions for you. As a Dark Angels player, would you like for the line to wake up and have rules for 40k? Absolutely, I would.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
I think everybody, even non-Dark Angels players, want to see.
I don't play Dark Angels. I want to see that happen.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I would love to see how they take, like with the whole take, and like he's okay. So my armies, Dark Angels and Iron Warriors, both of their Primarchs are just surly whiners. I'm exaggerating a little bit, but they are. I just want to see how Johnson will react to the Imperium as a whole right now, and Gilliman taking over.
I would like to see like my favorite, my little fanfic is when he like wakes up, he's just like, no, screw this, like I'm not going to listen to you. I'm going to take my
100%. I believe that.
I'm going to take my Dark Angels and go elsewhere.
So there's been watching this video, you see a bunch of like Dark Angels or Chaos Orcs, like whatever. People understand the lore. Dark Angels aren't exactly loyal to the Imperium. They are, but they're more loyal to like
their creed.
The Dark Angels as a whole. So if Gilman, if Johnson returned him, it's like, all right, guys, forget the Imperium. We're going to do this now. Gather up. They'll do that. Like they're not going to listen to Gilliman.
Right.
Or he goes, well, Gilliman's in charge, and they will.
He's unpredictable, right? Yeah, you could have
They were.
That probably.
I mean, you've read. I don't know if you've read all of them, but you've read more in the Horse Heresy. It's not quite fair to call them renegades because they're not.
Right.
They did their job. They did what they were told, but they weren't exactly the most like loyal or letter of the law. They kind of did it their own way.
I think a lot of people are like, why weren't they at the Siege of Terra? They were doing other things. Well, they were destroying traitor homeworlds, is what they were doing during the Horus Heresy.
Okay, so Kurz did a very good job of delaying them.
Yeah.
And pissing off Johnston to the point where he's like, you know what? If I can't get there, I'm going to destroy all these worlds instead.
It was essentially, he made the triumvirate with Sanguinius and Gilliman, where they made that Imperium Secundus because they weren't sure what happened to Earth or Terra, and they realized that it was still good to go, so they wanted to go over there, but there were the Night Lords there, and there was someone waylaying them, and I can't remember who it was. It's escaping my mind now. But they couldn't all make it. So what happened was Gilliman stayed behind to distract that force while Sanguinius and the Blood Angels could make it back to Terra. And Johnson said, you know what? I think I'm better used to go attack their supply lines.
Give them no place to retreat to.
Yeah, there's no place to retreat to. That's why they were forced during the scouring to go.
He did the Emperor's work.
Yeah.
You know what? Now that you mentioned that, I don't know why I keep forgetting about the Emperor Secundus, whatever it's called, or
Imperium Secundus. That was like a good arc. I like that arc a lot.
So there's a good chance that he wakes up and goes, "Hey, Gilliman, we got to do this thing again." Gilliman makes him the new War Master of the Imperium, sends him out. Like they very well will work together, or not. Who cares?
Well, they worked together at first, and there was a lot of tension.
Of course.
Well, Gilliman actually broke the Lion Sword.
Okay, I haven't read it, but I'm going to assume this was Johnson's fault. He was being petty, right?
Yeah, he wasn't being petty. He was being, I can't think of the word right now, sneaky. He was being like, well, there's a section on, if it was McCrag, it was like a province or a nation, it was called Elysium, and they were recidivists, they were rebels, they were acting against Gilliman's creed and his doctrines or whatever, and it's like, why should we listen to you, blah, 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 they're rebels, they was doing rebel stuff. Then Johnson was the Lord Protector of Imperium Secundus, and Gilliman was like the statesman, and Sanguinius was the emperor. So Lionel Johnson was tasked with dealing with this. But Gilliman's like, no, this is, my world, please do with respect. No, don't nuke it. Don't obviously just go in there, deal with it, and get rid of it. And then Johnson was having a hard time doing that, and they were dug in deeper than they thought, and there's reasons why to all that. And then he decided to, you know what, I'm going to no missiles like that. So what he did is he loaded up the drop pods with like bombs and everything, and it was like drop pod, and then did all that and just like hit it from orbit. And that was like Gillen was like, you know, like you can't that's like, you know, in between the what is it called? Where you're like, this is rules as written as rules as intended,
exactly.
sort of thing, right? Yeah. It was like, I did not intend for you to do that, but you said it, you know, I didn't technically do what you said not to do, and then, you know, they fought over that, and in fact, like Sanguinius was pretty pissed about it too.
Well, he should be.
Yeah.
The second question was, and more generally, do you think the setting should advance with the return of the Emperor? Thank you. Oh my goodness. Okay. Dark Angels fans will understand this better than I guess the average person. Maybe Luka does too. For 30 years, our time. Not that long.
Like
long.
the 30 years of Warhammer 40k narrative.
Look at Cypher has been getting closer and closer to the to Terra. On his back, he carries a broken blade. We don't know if it's the Lion's Sword or if it's Luther's Sword. Doesn't really matter what it is. There's decades of lore and history and fluff about this character getting all the way to Terra, or trying to. And for years, speculation is he's trying to get to Terra to, one, free the Emperor from the throne and return and get the Emperor's back, or two, kill the Emperor and the throne and thus finish the job. At the end of 7th edition, he gets there. He meets Gilliman at the gates, or on Terra. He's like, Gilliman's like, hey, I remember you. He's like, yeah, thank you. I need to go see Terra. He's like, okay, yeah, I'll bring you over to Terra. I think you're actually a little bit farther away from Terra. He's like, I'll bring you all the way to Terra. So Gilliman brings Cypher all the way to Terra. We're going to see some resolution. He gets to Terra and it's like, this is a Cypher, lock him up. And Gilliman betrayed him, locks him up, and then he disappears from his jail cell. And now 1,000 years have passed, and we have no idea how that was, in my opinion, the biggest screw you Games Workshop's ever done. This character's been going to Terra for 30 years. He gets there. We don't know what happened, and 1,000 years have passed.
That'd be cool. That'd be an amazing. Amazing advancement in the storyline.
So to answer your question, do I think they're setting it up? No.
Yeah, I would love like a potential like the Cicatrix Maledictum forming, Chaos winning. The Crusade, Chaos pushing in and winning, and then they just the whole Emperor thing is like, the whole theory is if the Emperor is like properly killed off, he would be able to
he'd be able to coalesce. Right? Exactly.
He'd be able to coalesce.
The reason why he can't come back is the chair is keeping him alive, so he can't come back.
There's some weird messed up thing going on there. So the idea is if he's fully properly killed off, and then he'll be able to coalesce and form again as Emperor of Mankind.
Maybe I don't. Okay, so this is a long time ago, so I'm not sure.
There's other theories too.
So the Lion Sword was said to be able to destroy your soul.
Right.
So if this is still canon, if he has a Lion Sword and he kills the Emperor with it, he wouldn't be able to come back, right? Because you still need your Perpetual still needs their soul to come back, right?
They can do whatever they want with that.
That's fair. All right, from Mentality, greetings, Mr. the Mountain. I was wondering if you have any outdoorsy hobbies. Have you seen Ruby the Wonder Dog? Dave's puppy. Sorry, with bad with names in a while. No, I haven't seen Ruby in a while. He had Ruby here.
A couple months ago.
A little bit longer than that. But yeah, a couple months ago. But like, I'm Ruby's resident dog sitter. When Nate has to go away, whatever, I get Ruby. So, yeah, Ruby's an awesome dog.
I like Rubes.
She's awesome.
She likes me.
Do I have any outdoorsy hobbies? Not anymore. No, not at all.
No, not really.
Like, what's outdoorsy?
Tennis, basketball, drive racing.
Well, I mean,
hunting, fishing.
I used to play hockey a lot.
Hockey, yeah.
Like, it was 3 times a week.
Yeah. Like as an adult or like high school?
All the way, since I was a kid.
Okay.
But then, things happened.
Right, yeah.
So yeah, no, I don't do that anymore, but I guess I still skeet shoot. Legally? I'm not sure if it's legal, to be honest with you. I don't know if I should be talking about this. Like, it's okay to shoot. Okay, we have a lot, we're in Canada, we're in Ontario, we have a lot of gun laws.
Oh yeah.
And there's a farm, my buddy has a farm and we shoot there. Yeah. And if it's illegal, I'm just kidding, we don't actually do that.
Yeah, they don't do that at all. I don't know.
We don't do that.
I'm
totally kidding.
I have no idea what the law is on that. I don't have any guns.
But ammo's getting rare.
Oh, is it?
And getting hard to, yeah. It's
I don't know anything about that.
But
I think Josh has a legal arsenal.
Josh has got way more guns. Like Josh is what you call a gun nut. Yeah, no, I get no outdoor hobbies per se. I leave my house to get in my car to drive here, and then I paint until I sleep.
That's fair. That's fair.
But once the world goes back to, the world that was.
I don't do much either. I play tennis every now and then.
I'm okay. I've always been relatively decent at pretty good at every sport.
I socialize outside.
I am the worst tennis player you could have possibly met.
Okay.
Like fair. It's not even doesn't even no matter how I hit the ball, it goes straight up.
Oh, you just like okay, sure,
like,
okay.
Doesn't make sense to me.
I'm pretty good at tennis. I'm like not even amateur good, but like I'm like I amongst my friends I'm good at tennis. Let's put it that way. I used to play a lot of football.
I tried. It's funny. I tried a few years ago because there's not a lot of sporting events I could do. I tried to get everybody here. Like you guys want to like rent out a gym once a week and play some basketball. It's like low contact and we'll have some fun.
No one.
A bunch of Warhammer people won't play basketball.
I used to play basketball. I used to love basketball when I was younger. I don't know. All the kids at school, I just play basketball at school. I'm like, okay, I'll throw a ball through a hoop.
Yeah, right. It's just whatever. Just have some fun.
I was not good at it. I was very bad
at basketball. Who cares?
I was better at football. Football was always my favorite.
Well, you're kind of
I played that all through high school. Then there was no real none of my friends were interested in the after school leagues, right? I don't know what they're called, like beer league. That's more for hockey though. I don't know. It's like whatever adult leagues, like amateur leagues for football. No one really wanted to play.
My friends stopped, I joined my dad's leagues.
Yeah, exactly. Stuff like that. Yeah.
I was playing with guys way bigger than me for a long time.
Yeah.
Until I got bigger than them.
That's fair. Yeah. It was always fun. I stopped doing that now though.
Yep. Wait, did I skip one? Oh, wait. Stormbolter, hello Steve.
Hey.
Hope you and your family are well and keeping safe. What are you hoping for from the new Warhammer Old World? Oh, so much. Or I'm trying to keep my expectations low though. So I don't want to.
It's getting a little tough waiting at this point.
I know.
Yeah.
I know. I know you're a big Bretonian fan, and it looks like it'll be more centered around there. Possibly. It looks like it's going to be centered around the Empire. But the last map looked like it moved over towards Gills a bit, or where the Bretonian was.
I assume they were just showing off cool locations in the old world. Hey, look, here's the new map of Bretonia. Here's the new map of Araby.
That's very possible, right? Yeah. Also, you've seen the movie someone in Scotland is doing called Chaos Rising. It's set in the same time frame. No.
What was that one movie you told me about?
Pathfinder?
Yeah, you knew right away. You knew right away. It's just Warhammer Fantasy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nice.
You go ahead and watch Pathfinder and tell me those aren't Chaos Warriors.
It's just Chaos Warriors.
It's Chaos Warriors.
Is this Chaos Warriors invading the Empire?
No, Lustria.
Oh, is it Lustria?
Wait.
That's so wild.
It's been so long ago. I think Lustria.
I
can't remember if it was.
Why were they invading the rainforest?
I'm thinking of the Americas.
Yeah, that would be Lustria. Yeah.
Well, Lustria would have been in the south, right?
I guess Lustria's in the south, but like
either way,
Nagrand is in Canada.
Tell me if you watch
Canada?
Pathfinder, which is an amazing.
Nagrand.
It's like the greatest bad movie ever. There's a plot, maybe I don't know. I can't remember.
Is the Dark Elf continent called Nagroth and the capital is Nagrand?
Yes.
That's okay. That's what I thought it was because Nagarith is like the section of Ulthuan that they came from and retreated from.
Nagarond was the province in Ulthuan.
No, that was Nagarith.
Nagarith to Nagarond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like wherever the dark elves live now is Canada. Is wild.
Yeah.
It's just like okay, cool.
No, I'll check out that movie. I've never heard of it. Sue Pucks at Steve. Hello, buddy. Hope you're doing well. Do you think 40K would work / feel more realistic with a D8 or D10 system? The game would be much more nuanced, and the difference between a Marine and a Grot would be much greater. Love you guys. Peace. Yeah, no, you're right. It's never going to happen.
Yeah, like without a doubt, that would be better. If you played the older editions of the game, you had like Rogue Trader used the full die system. You used D4 or D2 technically, all the way up to D20. Maybe I don't know if it had D100 in it, but it had. I think in some situations it did have the 2D10 roll for the D100.
So games like Warhammer, much like D&D. Were super centered around what people just called nerds, geeks back then, right?
Yeah.
And it was usually layered and complex, and sometimes overly so, but whatever, we had fun doing it. And then as the years go by, you always see the same thing. It gets more and more streamlined and simplified and open up to a bigger audience.
Yes.
And Warhammer reached that pinnacle with 8th edition.
Yeah. Now
we are seeing Warhammer... or the company Games Workshop catered more to the tournament community. They seem to be the most vocal online.
Yeah, that's the most important one.
It's becoming more layered and complex.
Because that's what everyone watches.
Yeah,
Yeah,
maybe. Like
yeah.
we could discuss for hours as to why we think, but it is what it is.
Yeah.
If you ever saw D8s or D10s in Warhammer, what'll happen is you'll see them introduce that into one type of thing, like maybe the psychic phase, or there's a certain subsection of the shooting phase for like heavy weapons. You'll see a small thing added, and it'll take years for them to change the game into a D8, D10, D20 system.
Right.
But they could do it. I will never bet on it. It's not going to happen.
Could they? The game would be. They could do a lot more with those extra dice added to it, and the game used to use those. But then
Exactly.
so this is how it went. This is like how Rogue Trader came out. It was a role-playing game. You had a dungeon master. You had a games master watching these multiple players play and overseeing the game. And the players would just fight, do battles. They would have like little narrative talks where they talk and try and come to an accord, and they'd just fight. And then second edition came out, which was not so much a role-playing game, but it was a straight-up war game.
It was actually the first edition of Warhammer 40,000 as we know it.
And that was the proper war game, but he used like wild dice, had crazy rules, it was super narrative still.
There was a bunch of way more templates, way more types of dice.
All over the place.
You had D10s, 20s,
and then
12s.
people love playing it narratively, but humans are naturally competitive. So they wanted to figure out a way how to play it competitively. And like this game is not competitive because you can just bring this one thing and it's so good. It's narratively meant to do this one thing, but like vortex grenade and all that stuff.
This is an interesting thing. So if you talk about Dungeons and Dragons, and you can talk about how you min-max something to be really powerful.
100%.
The community as a whole goes, yeah, we don't do that. There's always going to be a couple of guys who are going to do it, whatever. But like it was, yeah, we don't. It's a role play thing.
So like the idea of a second edition was people would be like, yeah, you could bring the vortex grenade every game, but you don't do that. And then some people were like, but we want to do that. Where can we go to do that?
And then once a game allows you to do something, no matter what, somebody's going to do it.
Yeah.
And the more people do it, the more you have to start. The more you upset other people, the more you have to start adding rules and balancing. And it's impossible to balance. It's impossible. I'll say this: Games Workshop has never done a greater job.
I think this is probably one of the best editions for
balance we've ever seen.
Yeah. A lot of people disagree with that, but
sure. You know what? Yeah. I mean, no. Neither one would say it was the greatest edition I've ever seen.
Right. Well, it's not my favorite edition, but it's only because it lacks the nuances.
Is your favorite seventh?
It's between second or seventh.
Interesting. Yeah. I think seventh's my favorite.
My opinion is seventh is just a better everything before it edition. Like seventh is just a better third edition. Third edition and seventh edition are like the same template, right? But seventh edition has all the better nuances of it. Like, okay, we can add this rule to reference that instead of having to use this one, which is kind of janky. What third edition was, people might not agree with it, but it was like, remember when 8th edition came out and it was like, oh, this is so wild and different. Everything's super loosey-goosey. Right. That's what 3rd edition was because it was a brand new edition of the game.
It was a huge reshape.
It was a huge reshape because that's what 3rd edition was because 2nd edition came out and people were like, I want to use Vortex Screen. I want to play competitively. I want to use this one really powerful list all the time, but I want to fight other people that are doing that. They try to make competitive games. Didn't work. Games Workshop's like, we want to try and make this game more competitive. They made 3rd edition.
To pull back to the question, it's very possible in 5 years, even less, a couple of years, we were on 10th edition. And notice that it's not even called 8th edition or 9th edition anymore. Only the community calls it that.
Right.
Games Workshop doesn't call it 10th edition or 9th edition. But we do. Either way, the next edition comes out, it could be a complete reshake, and all of a sudden it's a D12 system only.
Right.
And could happen. You never know. Things happen way faster now in the lifespan of Warhammer than they did in 7th edition, than they did in 6th edition. Things are coming out way faster.
Yep.
We're burning through an edition faster. The world's too small nowadays. The world moves too fast.
Yeah, the world. I was going to say, between 3rd and 7th edition, even though they used that D6 primary, they got rid of all the other janky dice. Not janky dice, they got rid of all the other dice, and they used a primary D6 system. But it still did a great job of representing the difference between a Guardsman and a Space Marine. Because you had just a single characteristic increase was like a world of difference.
Well, 8th edition, it was rough between the Guardsman and Space Marine because they were both 1 wound.
They were both 1 wound, toughness 4.
4 to 3 wasn't that big of a difference.
It was not nearly as big of a difference.
Strength 5 up, 3 up.
Yeah,
that was your difference.
Yeah, but then there's so much scaling
and then
AP
mortal
on
wounds,
things.
right?
Yeah,
and scaling AP.
Yep, it was a little rough, and they're getting back to now a Guardsman and a Space Marine. You can clearly define the difference between a little bit better. It's getting there. They just have to find give them 9th edition. I think is excellent. 10th edition is going to be outstanding, and then 11th edition at that is going to be even better. That's why I say 7th edition is the better.
Unless they do a complete reshake in between.
They could do a complete reshape.
You never know.
But yeah,
which could make it even better. And then when that comes out, it might be the best game ever. And we'd be like, but you know what? We think 9th was the best edition.
Sure.
And things are always better in the past.
There are people that probably think like 5th edition or 3rd edition was the best Warhammer 40k.
Well, okay, so remember Fantasy. I've told you for years, 6th edition of Warhammer Fantasy was my favorite.
Right.
We went back and played, like, man, I don't like 6th edition of Warhammer Fantasy. It's pretty much garbage.
It's missing a few quality of life changes.
That's why I think you need to try 7th edition. 7th's my new favorite edition.
7th might be the perfect between the two. But like I heard there's a community edition that actually uses my favorite. You know what I always say? I'm like, I want this from 6th edition and this from 8th edition, and I want that gone from 6th edition and this gone from 8th edition. Throw them together. There's actually a community edition. That
So I
does
bet
all
you
that.
that's probably amazing, actually.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's got all of my favorite things from 6th edition and all my favorite things from 8th edition and slammed together.
All right, from Akuno, Steve, are there any units/armies that you feel like you should form a mechanic lore perspective? Oh, that I should like from a mechanic or lore perspective, but the models are too off-putting. Ooh, the answer is yes. Oh, what is it? I remember talking about this recently.
What game system?
I can't remember.
Oh no.
No, it's Games Workshop. It's all I have time for these days. It's like, oh, that's really cool. I can't send the models, or I won't do it. Oh.
Oh yeah. Is it the Realm Lords?
I refuse to use Alareth Stone guys. The stupid giant horns.
Yeah, Steve doesn't like the
I hate those horns. Actually, the bows are really off-putting too, but they're really powerful, so I use them. The 3-string bow that you couldn't actually fire really bothers me. Really bothers me. So much so that Lucas probably annoyed that I'm even bringing it up right now.
It's just a funny point of conversation because it's just like I find it wild that stuff like that can bother you.
It bothers me. It bothers
insane
me.
that
The helmet on those guys, it would break their neck. Sure, if it was a strap, it would break their neck. If it wasn't a strap, it'd fall off immediately.
It's just the giant bullhorn helmet that the elves with hammers is a little off-putting.
I agree.
Right. This is the Alarith stuff, right? That's the theme. I like the theme of it. That's
Yeah,
cool.
I'm not a big fan of the Alarith stuff and the
But like things that aren't realistic throw Steve way off. I could care less. It's like whatever.
Yeah, okay, so I don't know if it comes through a lot in the battle, maybe it does. A lot of things bother me that wouldn't bother a normal person. Then they'll just set me off and I'll rant for a long time. But I typically don't complain about it on camera.
Right.
But I haven't been shying away from those stupid bows and those stupid helmets. Techos is amazing though. All right,
Fluffy pants.
I'm not even trying to pronounce your name.
Oh wow.
Hey Steve, what's your opinion on Def Dreads? I noticed you use a lot of mechanized orcs, but Def Dreads never make the list. Is there a reason for it? I use my Def Dreads all the time.
I feel like you use the.
I think the Def Dreads are the first thing to get cut in that list.
How come?
They're the least efficient.
How can the freaking little Killicans be more efficient than a Def Dread?
Killicans gain efficiency on being amazing, like just awesome. A Killican just wins up being awesome. Freaking Killicans, man. No, I'm always going to bring Killicans.
There's nothing good about Killicans.
Everything is good about Killicans.
You bring us
Honestly,
unit of 6 Killicans, you just gain your point of 6 victory points.
I had so many Killicans, but Games Workshop's like, you only have 3 units. Like, that's dumb. Like, that's not fair. So, I don't want to paint any more Killicans. First of all, what's the first orc model I should get?
The first orc model that this individual should get? Probably a war boss on bike.
War boss on bike.
Probably a war boss on bike.
They've done, so the whole Imperial Armor Compendium seems a little, low strength, a little lackluster.
Yeah.
With a few outliers. One of them being the War boss on bike.
War boss on bike is
wild. I think they done messed him up.
Oh yeah.
Like honestly, okay, if you want to leave the stats as is, maybe add the hard points to his point cost.
Like he's got a power
He's
clock,
115 points. He's got like 6 wounds and toughness 7.
He lets all your vehicles advance in charge or something.
Yeah, sure.
Like
Orcs
that.
do stuff like that though.
Yeah, but doesn't he have to be on the bike to do that? I don't think the little guy on foot does that.
No, but
I think the
trike does.
The trike does. Yeah, but why would you take the trike if
you would never. The trike no longer has a purpose in the army anymore.
The war boss on bike is ludicrous. The trike has more shooting, but it's whatever. It's bad shooting. Like it's more bad shooting. It's like having a couple extra bolt guns or something.
Okay.
Yeah, or like I guess they were strength 5, but it's not even comparable. It's like ridiculously wildly different. War boss on bike, Biss.
Wasserman, Steve. Question for Steve. Landspeeder Vengeance or Dark Shroud or one of each in a Raven Guard list? Oh, okay.
I feel like I don't like the Dark Shroud.
Okay. Now I think the competitive community says Dark Shroud is kind of a must. I don't agree. Whenever I'm making a list, the Dark Shroud unfortunately is the first thing to get cut. Okay. It just is. The Vengeance is good.
Is that the guy with the Devil Plasma?
Yes. So when it first came out, it was so bad you would never bother using it.
It was
and then 8th edition was bad. Like now it is so good. It is so cheap. Like if you compare it to a Typhoon speeder? No, yeah. Typhoon?
Like
the missile launchers.
The new ones?
No, like the
the
regular
speeder?
speeder with the missile launchers.
Okay.
If you compare it to that, it's much better and I think 10 points more. So you get more wounds, better firepower. It is fantastic. So my answer is Land Speeder Vengeance. However, they are so you don't even have to magnetize it. They are so easy to assemble to be both. You put the plasma guns in and don't glue them. They kind of push in and push out. And if you assemble the Dark Shroud top piece, it just sits on top and snaps into place. So you don't have to so you can build both out of one kit.
One
kit gets you both.
Yeah. Okay.
So assemble both, try both, but I love the Dark Shroud. The Land Speeder Vengeance. Seraphim Rules 116. Hey Steve, what do you think of the new Lumineth release? Well, this video comes out on Saturday, right?
It should be the same day.
All right, so there is a whole video about that out right now where Luka and I we
literally
recorded
reviewed.
an hour ago.
I got them right here actually.
We just recorded that.
Yeah. That's what I'm fidgeting with.
Are there any Are there any models in particular that caught your eye? Good for good or bad reasons? Okay, yes. So I want all the new models. I like the rules. You can watch review and get the whole in depth about it. But it's aces for me. The book is scary to the person who buys it.
Yeah, because there's a lot. There's like layers on. Like if you thought it was complicated before, it wasn't too bad. You get used to it. No, but it's even worse.
I think I'm correct about this, but there isn't another more complex and layered, not complex. Complex. I keep saying complex. Complex is not fair.
It's easy to say complex.
It's just there's a lot to remember. This is the most layered book I've ever seen.
A lot to remember, eh?
I'm trying to think.
I'm trying to think of the armies I've played, but I'm so used to playing them already.
You have
everything's a wizard, usually with a built-in spell.
You have essentially like 4 different allegiance abilities inside here.
Yeah.
Because Venari get one, Sonari get another,
and battle
get
traits
one.
and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Then just by being Lumineth Realm Lords, you already get a bunch of allegiance. You get like your Aether Courts, you get the 2-for-1 fighting, and
amazing.
Venari get the Shining Company, Alarith get whatever Alarith get, the Sonari you get like the concentration thing. There's another one too, the weird the guys riding the Ruse, the kangaroos get like the consolidated.
So basically every war scroll in the book has a bunch of special rules. And then, every war scroll in the book can do other special things compared to with other special things.
Yeah.
Like it's just layer on layer on layer. So if you're really good at remembering all that kind of stuff, you can get really good with this book. This book is going to be very powerful in people's hands. Actually, we shouldn't talk about it anymore. We did a whole long video on it.
Absolutely. You go check that out right now. Or maybe you just came from that review and the question is moot.
Phantom Baz. Dear Mr. the Mountain, like you, I'm an avid painter, but I was wondering, when you are painting, what do you listen to or watch? I am watching you right now. All the Steve knows. Many things, Barry, a.k.a. Phantom Baz. So I actually don't watch anything typically. So there's only 2 things I do. If I am... Well, that's not true. There's actually...
I thought you just put on like a repeat show.
So,
I figured you would.
There's a lot of YouTube I will listen to, so podcast type stuff, that I don't have to watch the screen. Mm-hmm. Or a television show or movie that I've seen 1,000 times.
Sure.
So I can't look up. I don't want to look up. I don't want to look up at the wrong time.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's my main thing. But right now, I used to be a lot of movies and TV shows. Like I used to love to paint The King of the Hill. But right now, I'm just doing a lot of YouTube podcasts and stuff.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, that's my main painting thing.
I don't paint.
Cesario, eh? Steve, hope you're doing well today and hopefully more awake than your last sit and talk.
Were you tired in your last sit and talk?
No, my last sit and talk, I came in at 7 a.m. to do it.
Yeah.
But Matt came early or something. I can't remember what it was. I had like a 40-minute sit and talk.
Oh, okay.
I had to when I got to the last little bit. I had a shotgun through all the questions to get them done. But I was. You see me the first thing in the morning. I'm not fully awake yet, so it's probably that.
All I know is I shotgun through my questions too, because I spent like 3 hours doing the first 4, and then I have like 80 more to go. I'm like, oh yes, no, true, false.
I actually forgot to check what time we started recording.
Absolutely.
So I have no idea how long the video is.
I never check.
You never check?
No, I realize, sometimes I check.
My question to you is as follows. I recall at one point or another sit and talk you had said about yourself that you like to analyze games you play and can, with some time and play, break down a game and see good lists in most things. I tend to see the pattern in certain things. Like this is why I don't really like board games a whole lot, because I tend to see what I think is the proper way to play and the most efficient way to play, and then it becomes boring.
Yes, but this man has never played Talisman.
That's true.
So hard to analyze Talisman.
I was wondering what sparked this in you. It's in my head. I don't know. Why would I never do anything, right?
I feel the same way when it comes to co-op board games. I do not like them. I like them at first. The second you figure them out, it's kind of done.
Well, so a prime example, have you ever played a game called, like, I don't like board games, but every now and then I'll play because people want to play. I was playing one, Dead of Winter, and like there's a turn tracker, and you have to work together, but sometimes people work against the group or whatever. And like I'm watching people do their turns. I'm like I'm counting like what has to get done by the end of the turn counter, and who could possibly do what. And I'm like, if you go over to the police station to go search for stuff, like we don't have time. You can't go. And like, no, it's fine. We're gonna make it back to that. Like, no, I can't stand getting frustrated when I know we've lost because somebody else did something.
Right.
Like, it's do the math. Like, watch. We have 5 more turns. You're gonna go over there for 1 turn. You're gonna do a search, and you come back for 3 turns. But then we have to kill 4 zombies and build a gate over here. And if somebody breaks one over here, and like, we don't have the time. Then we die. Yeah. Once I see that, I see those too fast.
Well, it's kind of,
But it's not. I am. I don't know what the right word is, or the politically correct word is to use it anymore. But my brain don't work properly.
It's fair. That's fair. Yeah, I get that. Same thing with other co-op games. When you can see the win in a few turns, it's like, or the loss. It's, you know, like you start dictating to other people what they have to do. Like base Pandemic is a good example of like, okay, well the disease is gonna break over there. You have to do that, and that, and then you look at someone over like, well, you're supposed to do this. That's the most efficient thing you can do right now. If you're not doing that, like why?
Then why?
Yeah.
And it's sometimes even worse if I cannot figure it out. If I can't figure out the pattern, it's actually worse for me. It causes me physical discomfort.
Okay, well then, yeah, there's a lot of games that are really rough. Like,
But
obviously,
like, if I know there's no, it's so random. There's no pattern. I can. That's okay.
What about a game where everything you do is like super hyper efficient, but then something someone else does could just you have like 5 turns ahead planned out, but then one guy does one thing like, crap, those 5 turns are now wash. I have to think of something.
Well, okay, there's a reason why I don't work well with others.
Right. Well, I mean, but they're against you. They're actively trying.
Oh, that's cool.
They're actively.
No, that's cool. I want to try to figure out how to mitigate them mitigating me.
Okay, they're not actively. They're acting in their own interests, but those interests conflict with yours. But neither of you know that.
Okay, so here's the thing. So it is one person. That's like if you're playing with 5 people, right? Mm-hmm. And one person is everybody's a random card. One person works against the group, but nobody knows who it is.
Yeah.
I love trying to figure that out. Right. I love trying to figure that out.
That's social deduction.
Yes. My problem is when like you're doing something and you are doing something that for sure goes against us. One of you is just stupid.
Yeah, one of you is just dumb, right? One of you is just an idiot.
That upsets me.
Right, yeah. 100%, I get that.
I'm not a board game guy. I'm not a work with others guy. Like I just don't know how to work in a group.
Well, I could play board games all day.
I'd rather just do it myself.
Well, as long as I can pick what the board games are. Then I'm happy playing board games all day, every day.
Which is different. Like play like World of Warcraft or something like that like years ago when I did. I loved raiding. I'm happy to do my role. I'll sit there and heal all day.
You don't care what other people do, right?
No.
You get a little frustrated and they're dumb.
Well, hold on. Okay. I'm going to call Josh out a little bit.
Okay, you call Josh out.
Stop standing in the fire, bro. That I don't like.
Oh, you don't like people.
If I'm healing and you're playing a hunter who's just standing in the fire.
Hey man, all that does is help her. Back then, you didn't have parsing. That would have helped your parsing today. You like that. You appreciate that.
Yeah, I don't care about that. I don't want to gloat that I did the most healing at the end of the game.
Yeah.
I actually played Paladin Healer, so it was always the most over heals.
Okay, sure. Yeah, of course it would be.
Well, once they had the Beacon of Light, we're talking about World of Warcraft.
Oh yeah, Beacon of Light.
When
You put on one, you just spam someone else healing.
Yeah.
You could literally just put Beacon of Light on yourself and then spam the tank, and you're just both getting healed.
I know.
Yeah.
Well, it was in Rage back then. You had to like Beacon of Light your off tank.
Yeah, there's that too. There'd be 2 tanks, Beacon Light the off tank, and spam the other tank, and then they both get healed.
And then
all you do is spam Holy Light.
There's a couple of bosses where I had to Beacon Light myself and stay closer, but wow, we're off on a weird tangent. Yeah. Okay. Basically, I'm a control freak, and I know it. I didn't finish reading all of that. I was wondering, like at what point did you discover this when I was a kid? Also, I really enjoy Fantasy Battle Reports. They always manage to give me a great laugh. Yeah, we were talking about the same thing. Mm-hmm. We laughed so much during Fantasy for some reason.
Oh, it's so much of it's out of your control, right?
We've played the game literally hundreds of times with each other, maybe even more by now. And we still come up with these stupid random situations that nobody could have possibly predicted.
Right. Literally, every game is unique and different, and that's beautiful. You never know what you're getting into.
Anyways, keep up all the awesome work, and hopefully we can come out to see you after lockdown. Yeah, hopefully.
I think a lot of it comes with like the getting rid of the dispel scroll too.
That was a good thing.
I think getting rid of the dispel scroll is a good thing for the game. Yeah.
At Luka. Sorry, from Skinny Kid 2. For the 30K kit bashing thing, I always feel that as long as the model is distinctly different from others in your army, patterns of armor that is, then kit bash away. using bits from anywhere and everywhere.
Yeah, I was asking questions because I had the Forge World 40K Space Wolf Terminator upgrade kit, but that only really worked on the Indominus pattern Terminator armor, and the Varigear Terminators were they're in cataphracti plate, so like the shoulders are all different, and the ribbing on it just wouldn't match. I'm like, I don't think but I wanted to do Indominus to represent Varigear, but I'm like, but Steve had found me a lot of bits for cataphracti upgrades already, so I'm like, I'm just gonna buy more Varigear and upgrade them.
Yeah. So you made me think of something that okay. So typically I would ask this question in a Warhammer 40,000 battle report, but I haven't done one in forever. If anybody has from Indomitus the Space Marine transfer sheet, I need the Dark Angels bottom third of the sprue. You want to email me, steve@miniwargaming.com, and how much you want for it mailed to me. I'll pay pretty much any price at this point. I need a couple of those sections for a project I'm working on. Man. Anyways, but thank you for mentioning Dominus. I remember that.
Yeah. The Indominus pattern Terminator armor.
Yeah, but... Yeah. Is it Dominus pattern or Indominus pattern?
I can't remember.
I think it's Dominus pattern.
I think it's Dominus pattern.
But I'm looking for the transfer sheets from the Indomitus.
With the Crux Terminatus on it and everything. Yeah, because the Space Wolf upgrade kit from Portugal, it's got like the Crux Terminatus. It doesn't work.
Jimmy Stewart says, "Hi Steve, I know there's a lot of airbrushing tutorials out there, but could you please do one on Space Marines?" No. I just don't do tutorials. You know what? Maybe I'll do something. I shouldn't promise that. I know I'm not going to do it.
He's not going to do it.
I know. I don't want to lie to you.
There's got to be like a million out there.
Okay, I'll finish reading this and I'll explain the problem with that. I remember you showing Tarek, and yeah. I've actually talked about that recently too. An easy way of doing it, and they look great. Thanks for any advice. Your back with Josh are always a highlight when they come out. So there's an issue I've had with tutorials, painting tutorials as a whole for a long time. In my opinion, the people looking at painting tutorials are super new to painting, and then everybody starts the tutorials at slightly higher of a level than they like, just one step above they need to. Like they don't show you this, like the very dead end basics. I thought when Duncan Rhodes, when Games Workshop's painting tutorials came out, they were showing the basics, put models in a miniature 2 minutes. It takes the fear away from people, and I was like, so those were actually pretty good at taking away that fear.
I always found those were deceptive because it's like, okay, this is how you paint a Space Wolf Grace Layer in 2 minutes. It's like just apply this. And I'm like, this is like an hour.
The video's 2 minutes. He's literally showing you putting the paint on them, like the thing where a lot of tutorials when I was looking at them were just a little bit above my capabilities, like a little bit too far ahead of me. But that's a paint. I found that to be a painting tutorial thing across the board. Everybody making painting tutorials. You need to be a bit of an experienced painter to use these painting tutorials for anybody's. But I get what you mean. So Space Marines, it depends on your color. So my Dark Angels, sorry I hit my mic. My Dark Angels are primed black, and then there's green, Dark Angels green airbrush paint that I paint at basically probably a 45-degree angle on the whole model. That's it. And then the bottom is black.
Yeah.
And then I go, I think it's called Gremlin Green from Minotaur. And I go to about 70, 80 degrees and paint it again.
Spin it, yeah.
That's it. I know that sound. I know. See, the thing is, what I just said is so simple. Nobody's made the tutorial. That's it. Yeah. But I get the need for that tutorial.
Yeah.
So when
the problem is, like,
I want to promise something I know I'm not going to do.
I get that. Like with airbrushing, there's a lot of like technique and practice that comes with that too. Like the amount you let through, the need, like the control is very important too. So
True.
You're not very experienced with airbrushing.
You know what? Actually, yes. Here's what you need to do. This is what I did. Now, granted, I had a very experienced painter, Chris, around to help me out through a lot of it. But here's what I did. When I first bought my airbrush, I took a cereal box, I cut off a piece of it, and on the back part, the no pattern part, I just sprayed paint through the airbrush. Wide cones, thin cones, lines, or whatever, and just played around with it for probably a good hour. And then I clean out the brush, put different color in, and keep on doing that, clean out the brush, because you want to practice cleaning out your brush and doing all that. And after like an hour, I turned it around to the pattern side, and I tried to, like Cheerios inside was white, right? I took out white paint, I want to paint just the white there. I want to see if I can make that kind of control, because you know how you write with a pen, you know where it is, but it's farther away from your fingers.
Right.
You want to paint the white part, and then there's like a black rim around it. Put a black paint and do that.
You
and
made
then
it very thin, right?
So exactly, paint a cereal box or something else if you don't need cereal. Paint a box that already has artwork on it and try to match it. And just get used to the airbrush in your hand, get used to the feel, practice controlling it. And then when it comes time to your model, the paint is going where you want it to go. You know where it's going. So just practice painting something that's like a stencil, like tracing with your airbrush.
Yeah, that's for your best bet. Getting control of the airbrush is like probably the most important step. Everything after that is just so easy.
Okay, honestly, and here's the thing too, is like once you get comfortable with the airbrush, you're gonna be able to do what you want to do, and everybody does things a little bit differently.
Yeah, everyone has different techniques.
Yeah. The Danish Viking Alex. That's Steve. Share your love for Minotaurs. That's what you mean, Beast of Chaos. So I'm thinking of finally taking a step and making an army. Yeah. I'm thinking 5 units of 6 Minotaurs. Yes. All with great weapons. No. 3 Doom Bulls, 1 Gorgon, not enough Gorgons, 1 Cygor. That makes 2,000 points. Oh yeah, never mind. Perfect army.
Is it perfect army?
Yeah, well, it's 2,000 points. That's perfect. Do you think that this will be viable and fun? It will not be viable if viable means winning a game.
Yeah.
If viable means fun, way more viable than they
If
possibly.
viable means you're 1 leader in your 3 battle line and within 2,000 points, then absolutely that's a viable list.
Wow.
I don't like the Cygor. I don't like the Cygor. The Gorgon's good.
The Cygor is good for, you can dispel, and you can do mortal wounds.
Yeah.
So typically 2 Gorgon are better, but when you need the Cygor, you want the Cygor. So he's got it right. So 1 of each.
Okay. Fair. That list could certainly hit like a truck.
You know what? That list would have been really good 3 years ago.
When Age of Sigmar first came out.
Or 4 years ago now? 5 years ago now.
First edition Age of Sigmar, that list would be wild.
Doug Peacock. I'm assuming it's your last name. Steve, Luka mentioned a Kickstarter project that you two are working on. Please give any and all information about it. If you have a link to the Kickstarter project, then I would love for you to share it.
We cannot share that because it's not available. That was the thing we just did.
I was thinking fancy.
Yeah.
We can't say anything about that?
Not until it's released.
Okay.
No, he wants to, like, the video doesn't. He wants to look over the video first. Wants to make sure it's all good. The Kickstarter is going to go live next month. Everything's online for that to happen still.
Okay.
Like, he's got his website up and everything, but for now, he wants to keep it under wraps and everything go at once. We're running out of battery power, I think.
I just saw that. We're going to change the battery.
Hey, we're back. New battery.
Okay. The next part of your question. Killers Overlords seem a bit overpowered due to their ability to go anywhere to lay down firepower. Do you think it would be reasonable to give them a post-fly high debuff? Absolutely. Aspect -1, I'm way worse than that. I only should be able to fire after flying high. Well, never mind.
If they couldn't do it, if they chose to fly high and then they could not fly high with that unit next turn, that would be nice.
What changes do you think would balance out KO and other broken armies? There are a number of broken armies. KO seems to be the biggest offender. Now, hold on. Because I just said that, there's a bunch of people who are really upset.
I have a different opinion on the K. I do not like Karajan Overlords whatsoever. I hate them. I think there's one build and a few variants of it in particular that are nasty, that are maybe a definite issue, sure. But for the most part, any other Karajan Overlord build is fine. But like a lot of other armies in Age of Sigmar, we discussed this the other day, it's just got a lot of feel bad to it.
Okay, so there's a thing about, what people don't always understand is when somebody says something's underpowered or overpowered, they think about their meta and their player in the area.
Yeah.
If somebody in your area is not that experienced and they don't seem that bad, or somebody, like, if somebody in your area playing Warhammer 40,000 is just so stupidly good with a Genesteer cult that they win every game, you're going to think they're overpowered.
Yeah,
and they are by far and away the worst army in the game. Yeah. But that doesn't mean a very skilled player can't dominate every game with you.
Yeah.
That'll be very hard with them.
They might just be very good at Warhammer 40K.
But, I mean, the even Games Workshop themselves put out the stats. Karajan Overlords are overwhelmingly dominating the competitive scene. Yeah. Yes, you can play them down. And if you own Karajan Overlords and you never win with them, maybe the other people you play with are just amazingly good. It's not but the numbers are in. Like, Karajan Overlords are so overwhelmingly dominated the competitive scene. There's a particular list, a particular build that is that far and away more powerful than the rest of the game.
Yeah, there's no internal balance.
It's a fact.
The problem is there's no internal balance in the book when you look at that one build compared to any other possible build. It's like a mock. It's a
maybe. Joke. Well, okay, so you're saying yes.
Yeah, it's like
now, it doesn't mean if you bring that build, you automatically win.
That's never true.
That's never true. Like a very skilled player can take on anything.
Yeah.
And I mean, if your goal is to have fun, that's a separate thing. But if you're going to a tournament setting and you're going up against that, like, no, you're going to go up against that. But if you're choosing to enter a competitive setting, you know you're doing something. You know what you're going up against. So yeah, it's unfortunate when if you're going to a table and you're expecting to play a friendly game and you're going up against that particular list, maybe the player who's bringing it didn't even know it was a Okay, I'll give you a prime example of this. What I'm about to say. I went to play a game against a guy who came in for a bat rep, and he puts his arm in the side table, and he asks, I'm explaining mine, and I'm like everything you need to know about it, and this is years ago when we had guests. And I look over at his, and I'm like, oh, you don't have to tell me anything about yours. That's the list that just won the last Bay Area Open. Like, I know all about that list.
Yeah.
And he's like, what, really? And like, he legitimately did not, like, it wasn't even like him trying to like, oh, I didn't know. He legitimately didn't know he made the Bay Area Open, the list. Like, it wasn't exactly, but very similar. And he didn't play it the way that was. He bought the balls like and had fun with it.
Yeah.
So just because you play that list doesn't mean you're trying to do it. Like, you may not know. Not everybody, and I find this more Sigmar, they're not always following the meta.
Right, yeah.
So I don't want to nerf KO. I don't like that. I'll wait till other things catch up in line.
Yeah, people just don't like people don't like the fly high rule.
Well, it's fly. Okay, but what if Beast of Chaos said fly high? It's not a big deal. You can't blame. The problem is you can't blame one thing.
I mean, it's bad with fly high because of all the shooting they have.
You got spell on a ball that can't be dispelled, automatically cast.
Yeah.
You got the fly high. You have all the goods. It's a perfect storm of anti-Sigmar, and I don't think Games Workshop did it on purpose.
Yeah.
So there's no point in getting upset about it.
Right. It's just they had some cool ideas for rules for them, and a few people found really efficient ways to use them, and that's kind of the end result, right? It's just more shooting Age of Sigmar. At this point, it's just that.
I know. So there was a bit like they were the only ones really shooting, and everybody.
And then you got Disciples of Zinch, you got Lumineth Realm Lords.
Also this, there's a bunch of Killer Overlords players that were playing when the army was just terrible, and they stuck with it.
Yeah.
And now they get rewarded, so they get some too.
Yeah, that's fair.
Right?
That's the way I like to typically look at it.
Sometimes it feels bad to play against something, but I usually find it's not the army; it's the player you're playing against.
True. Yeah, that could often be the case too.
Yeah. Jack Store. Hey Steve, my question is this: has your opinions on the Seraphim army changed from what you first played? So when you first played your game to your original game? If so, what parts of the army are stronger or weaker than you thought would be? So that skink build, there's a skink build that does quite well. It never really interests me because I wasn't really a big skink guy. And there's the monster mash list that kind of does okay, actually does well. That does kind of interest me. Unfortunately, we don't have all the monsters I want to play that.
Right.
But if we had more Stegatrons, I would. Oh my god, I would love playing that. Now, I did once I figured out the endless spell thing. I did super enjoy it. This guy did not.
That's not how they're intended to be used. That's drives me wild.
I actually love what they did with endless spells, but then because of Zinch, they limited it to 3 endless spells per army. Then that was a real feel bad for my Slan. Because I bought like 5 per game, right?
Yeah.
And I used them to block his army.
Yeah, so you'd build a shooting list with them, with Bastiladons or whatever, and then
or just Commons Call, right?
Or Commons Call, yeah. And then you would just summon all these. You would block all the paths. We play with a lot of terrain on our AOS table, so we have a lot of paths in the game. And then you would just summon endless spells and use them to block all the paths because I think they control the bound ones.
Yeah.
Yeah, they control the bound ones, so you control where they go. And I'm just sitting there like, guess I'll just sit here and not move. And I don't actually have a wizard to dispel these, so all right.
But it was once I figured that out, and it was a very successful way of playing them. Then they nerfed so you can only have 3, which really felt bad. It was still doable, but my big disappointment with I'm still disappointed about the Saurus Warriors and the Saurus Knights. The Saurus Knights have a lot of attacks, but don't seem to get a lot of work done. I felt like they could. I feel like there's a little off for me, but at the same time, they're still very playable. They're just not that great, but they're actually not that bad either. So they're okay. I'm just very disappointed with the Saurus Warriors. I want to see mass Saurus Warriors. Just I don't know. I just want to see that part of the Lisbon army, and their stats aren't good enough.
Well, that was the thing. That was the thing for fantasy, right? Your army, your core, they were one of the best fighters in the game, Saurus Warrior, and they're your core, right? Mm-hmm. It was nice.
Yeah, no, they used to be one of the best actual fighters in the game.
Yeah.
To being
predatory
instincts.
Predatory instincts. They had scaly skin, shields.
No, honestly, I can't remember what I know they have a 4-up save now. They had a 5-up. I'm gonna pull them up real quick. I think they're There's a threes and fours or fours and threes.
Yeah, they don't really have a lot of oomph. There's nothing really great about them. No, like back in fantasy, units weren't super like everything in Age of Sigmar is crazy unique, right?
Yeah,
Like,
fours and threes.
Look at literally everything in the Lumineth Realm Lord book. Everything is just so
With a
wildly
rend.
unique in there. And then you look at Saurus Warriors, like, oh, they have a shield and a spear or a shield and a club. And like
5-inch move, yeah. There's those guys are just a little lackluster for me. But I love this land. I miss the endless spells. I was actually real upset when they got that endless spell nerf.
I forgot that even happened, actually.
Yeah. But right now, there's a skink list that kind of works. We don't have the models for it. And there's the monster mash where you bring a bunch of big thunder lizard, which I actually really enjoy. I just feel like it's a list that my opponent might not always like to play against because it's nothing but big monsters just shoot you down. And then when they're done shooting you down, they just charge in and match you up, right? So yeah, that's my feel on them. I still play them, obviously. Straight Jacket. Hey Steve, just me or you catching heat in the comments recently? Well, so reading this comment makes me feel a little bit better because because I don't know if you feel the same, but most of the time comments you don't care.
Yeah,
It's part of the job. But every now and then comments just get to you. Like, oh, you're having a bad week, a bad day, a bad month, whatever. It's like every mean comment or mean email it hurts a little bit more. And like I've been going lately, it seems really bad lately. But like also it could be my head, so like whatever, I'll ignore it. But you saying it's like, yeah.
Justifying your feelings.
Justifying it, yeah. Guys, I'm a person. Also I make mistakes.
Yeah. It's whatever. It is what it is, you know. A lot of it is due to like
Don't say it.
No. A lot of it is due to people hating Dark Angels. Just hating.
Yeah, that's true.
Hating Dark Angels for some reason. And then Steve obviously has been a Dark Angel player for years. And now the new book comes out.
I'm watching every other competitive channel.
Yeah.
And everybody's starting Dark Angels armies. I'm like, I've been doing it for years, guys.
Yeah.
I didn't do this on purpose.
So like the book comes out, Steve's very excited to play it. Everyone's like, Dark Angels are
And
the
they
most
were
overpowered, stupid
Terminators. I've been loving Terminators for years.
And the Terminators get a good rule. They let them become viable, and everyone's just so... People don't like when their things don't do the things they want them to do. And that is all the design of these games that Games Workshop. Like, it is so much relevant in AOS and 40K. The design is, I take away what your army is trying to do.
So,
and it's wild.
And I have to remind myself, there's a couple of things why people are doing this. One, they're only seeing what they see, and it's from their perspective, and the world's upside down, and people are whatever, right? So, I'm getting comments. So if you watch all of my Dark Angels bat reps, these comments won't make sense. Like, for example, I got one where I played against Luka, well, more than one, where I brought my Ravenwing biker list against Death Guard.
Oh, rip.
And it did very well against him.
Yeah.
And there was a number of people saying, I'm tired of seeing you bring these Raven Guard.
Literally never brought that before.
I literally never did.
Never. But first time you tried it out.
But I did once when the book first came out for review. I did one game with them.
Yeah.
And I used to play them a lot in 8th edition, every now and then.
Yep.
So if you only seen those bat reps, it looks like that's all I'm ever doing. Or another one was a different game where I'm only bringing in these cheesy Dark Angels lists all the time, and it's getting real annoying. And like I go to my last, so since the book came out, I did like 10 games, and 7 of them
are the Primaris stuff.
Yeah. I'm like the what you're saying doesn't line up with the actual facts.
Yeah.
But that's their perspective. I'm like, I can't be like, no, you're wrong. But like at the same time, no, you're wrong. But if you only see me play Deathwing and Ravenwing, you didn't see the 3 other games in between that were, Assault, like nothing Dark Angels at all.
Like a nothing Dark Angel, yeah.
Yeah, like there's nothing Dark Angel about them.
That's right, you did the weird like assault list against me.
Yeah.
You had you played that was right, you played Greenwing. That was right, because I remember the comments were like, came here for Dark Angels, got Greenwing.
Yeah, exactly. So the commenter, so nobody watches every bat rep. Maybe if one of you does, but it's impossible to see them all. And then, so I've been trying to, because when you engage, you almost make it worse. And sometimes, and the thing is, I'm not always right. Sometimes I could be wrong. Like I do things wrong, and like you have to be able to accept that. And people are going to point it out, and like you learn from it. But if I go read something, a criticism like, well, wait, I didn't actually do what you think I'm doing. I try like, can you give me an example where you're saying, Steve always does whatever. Can you give me examples so I know what you're talking about? Steve always brings this cheesy list. Like, well, which list did you find cheesy so I know exactly what you think is cheesy?
Right.
Here's another example too. It's also from their perspective, right? One of the worst things I've talked to you about this one was the guy was real upset that I played cheesy Iron Warriors against Blood Angels after their new after the new Codex came out, when they were the best of the best.
Yeah. Yeah, that's wild.
And I'm replied, my list is 2 Star Collecting box sets plus Havocs with last cans.
Yeah. It was just, it's Chaos Space Marines, 1 wound each.
Chaos Space Marines
Iron
with
Warriors.
demon engines.
Demon engines. And that was what was cheesy.
So from
That
his
was
point of
wild.
view, that was cheesy. And like,
Did you win that game?
I did.
Nice.
But it wasn't like...
It beat Blood
so
Angels, that must be cheesy.
What happened was we were playing a custom scenario thing that somebody sent in and had Dave deploying the center of the table with like no cover.
Yeah.
Didn't matter, my army ignores cover anyway.
Yeah.
And I happened to go first, and I was able just to kill just enough of his... he had these jump black rage guys, what are they called?
Yeah, they're called Death Company.
He had a bunch of them. I was able to kill them off, and then I killed his Hammerfall bunker. I talked about that today.
Yeah, we
That
talked
was
about the
one-
Hammerfall bunker.
That was the
You
one
brought
time. So I used that stratagem where I could reroll wounds against vehicles.
Yeah.
But on my Iron Warriors, I already did.
Oh, yeah.
Or bunkers, I mean, buildings. Yeah, so I did win that game, so it looked bad, but it wasn't because my army was cheesy. It was
A weird scenario. He was big. He was getting ambushed by.
yeah, it was a bad scenario. Like we made some extra things up, and I said, yeah, all right, Dave, just charge me over here. If you win, I can see you. Whatever. We goofed around like that because we knew it didn't work. We kept on playing for fun. But yeah, so like there's people have perceptions of things, but then right or wrong, and I have my own perception of things. Like I might think something's not cheesy that is.
Right.
Or I think it is cheesy and it's not. But then you have to, unfortunately, get a bunch of people telling you some things. And mostly it doesn't bother you, but lately it's stop, guys. I'm sorry.
I get it. I get it. Yeah, the commenters can be kind of harsh sometimes, but it's part of the job.
Part of the job.
But sometimes it hits you a little bit.
Well,
harder
so
than
like I definitely not had the worst. We also talk about if you get hired on to MiniWarGaming, you're gonna start off with something we call new guy armor, where everybody's super supportive and nice to you.
I love this guys.
Yeah. The last couple of hires didn't have that.
I can't remember if I did or not.
I felt like Vito had no new guy armor whatsoever. Because everybody here gets mean comments. Everybody here does.
Yeah.
But usually when you're new, you get a buffer of a little bit. So we'll just give it to like the last couple of hires, and people are just like, oh, whatever. As the bigger we grow, the less new guy armor people get.
Yeah, it was like the bigger if we become the bigger of a company we become, the less people the less we seem like people, right? Yeah, that's typically the issue.
Email55, hey Steve, how are you? Any chance you're going to do a breakdown in game with Dark Eldar? Was really looking forward to your thoughts, as I know you are the studio guy with a personal army. No, I no longer have that army.
Yeah, he sold that to the studio, and then that army got beaten up.
Oh my goodness.
Steve can't even look at it.
It's so sad.
It's so stressful.
I thought it was so beautifully painted.
It's a beautiful black rose, black heart.
It got abused.
Did you paint it black heart or you just painted it green because it's
That's the color I wanted to try.
Okay.
Oh, that's the first army I've ever airbrushed. That was my airbrush touring army.
Okay.
And lastly, are you as keen as I to add new Blood Knights to your fantasy vampires? Ah, that's Luka. So, unfortunately, for many reasons, the Drukhari book came in super late. If you watch other channels, like everybody got it late, and some of them were able to get their reviews up. Unfortunately, we work on a tight schedule. It came so late that we were not able to do it.
I think we got the day of we wanted to do it even.
Yeah.
I can't even remember.
It came in on Friday. It came in on Thursday.
Like Thursday night. Yeah.
Yeah, it came in on Thursday.
And I wasn't going to be there that Friday either.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yeah.
So we couldn't get it done, and now this is unfortunate. But truth is, this company has to make a profit. We have to. It's a company. It has to run like a business, or none of us are here. So there's probably now no longer any value to us doing that Battletorn review and game. Now, that's not to say it's not going to happen, but it's not going to happen. We're not going to be doing one. Now, if something weird happens next week where it all of a sudden just makes sense and we're going to sit down and do one,
Yeah,
we'll absolutely do it.
We don't have an army. Well, we have maybe an army to play with.
We got an army that can glue back together.
Yeah.
But yeah, so it's probably not going to happen, unfortunately. It just, bad timing. It just came in bad timing. But yeah, sorry.
There'll be a lot of Drukhari content coming out in the future, though.
Oh, there will be.
Oh yeah.
And then, Luka, I woke up to that text from Luka, dibs, so somebody gave words.
Oh yeah.
On the Saturday.
Right away, I did so late. Yeah. I mean, we can all do it. I mean, I'll be doing it a lot. It'll be one of those like, you guys do whatever you want. I'm gonna play only Soul Blade Gravelords. And
Now,
if you guys want to do it too, because that's what we do as a channel.
I think we shall take a moment and thank Luka for his protest, refusing to play any more Sigmar until, only to play the stupid stuff until Soul Blade came out.
I was playing only Soul Blade.
So Games Workshop was obviously like, okay, you know what?
Bro, we're freaking out over here.
We can't let Luka do this anymore. Well, rush them with the army. Print the book.
Print the book. Get it out to the people. That's 100% what happened. I even gave up the protest like 4 weeks in. I think I played
You didn't even last that long, dude.
I played
you
for
did not last 4 weeks.
No, I don't even think I did. I played like 8 games of it. I'm like, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this anymore. It's just
Well,
so bad.
I think your Soul Blade was it was the first game I got with Realm Lords.
Right. And
you almost won.
And then it was. I remember that game too. Yeah, I'm like, oh yeah, this would be a super good game. You have like 40 archers that could shoot 30 inches and outline a sight. And they have rend on their attacks. Absolutely.
There's no rend.
Or you do mortal wounds on 5s and 6s. This will go swimmingly. Let's do this. I just walk up the board. I'm just getting pelted by arrows. I'm like, I actually did surprisingly good this game. Because you were like stuck in your deployments.
I didn't have enough archers.
Yeah, I didn't. I was able to rack up a lot of points. It was a pretty funny game. I pretty much lost every game. And then I fought the Giants too, the Sons of Behemoth. Oh man, that was a rough one.
And another one for Sorry Away. I remember I remember where that hard body thing came from.
Yeah, I started with the Vargo. I've read this comment. Yeah.
Seems like yesterday. So, reference to the hard body. I remember that joke came up from an old fantasy battle report. It was in reference to a Vargolf that was just impossible to kill, and I believe it was No, this is not true actually. So when you remember, this is not the first time it happened.
It came up before that again.
Yep.
I remember this game though, because the Vargolf's got 4 per generation. He just kept making them. He's got a hard body.
There was a reference to Vargolf that was impossible to kill, and I believe his armor was called hard body, or that was the joke you made for it. Do you actually not remember where that came from?
I remember the game. I remember that Vargolf.
Do you remember that game?
I do.
Do you remember the game before that?
Not really, no.
Me, you, Colin, three-way. We were doing the Path Strike Triumph Infantry.
Yeah.
Your Vargolf had the hard body. We lost the footage.
That's where it came from.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right. Oh man, it was the same kind of situation. I just had this. I love Vargolf. It's one of my favorite monsters in Warhammer Fantasy. Just a big feral vampiric beast, but it's kind of bad. It's whatever. It's okay, but it's got regeneration.
It was better in previous editions.
Right. It's got regeneration, so that's a pretty good rule to have. Of flaming attacks, get rid of it, and he's just in there, and he's just 4 up regen, 4 up regen, 4 up regen, getting like attacked by everything, cannons, whatever. He's got such a hard body. Ugh! And like it was just.
Colin lost. Like, the first time he did it, Colin lost it. Yeah. Colin's screeching hard body in the corner.
That was
hard
like.
Body.
Oh yeah. He's like crippled in the corner, screaming hard body. Yeah. And I was just like, I don't know. I just thought of saying hard body. I can't believe we lost that footage because that was probably
such a good game.
That was one of the best games of Warhammer Fantasy ever. Oh, I was so sad. Oh.
We very rarely lose footage. Definitely, in my 7 years, less than 6 games have been lost. And it seems that all of them are amazing.
I don't think I've ever lost a game. I've yet to lose a game. Thank goodness. Matthew's always the big advocate of make sure you always do this, do that,
Matthew's the one who lost 5 of those 6 games.
And then he's lost the rest of them.
But that's why he's got the strict rules. He's like, this is the.
Do this, do that. Make sure this.
You
always
check.
double check.
Like
Triple
Matthew,
check.
none of us lose footage but you.
Yeah, he's the only one who loses the footage.
Hi, Luka. I want to recommend the Maslin book. Now, this is a novel.
I read that.
I'm still scrolling.
I read that whole thing.
Good?
I agree. I'll get to the Malazan series. I've heard nothing but good things about the Malazan series. I was curious about a fantasy setting to get into. I've read like The Witcher. I've read Lord of the Rings. I've read a bunch of sci-fi. I'm super into the Black Library. I'm curious about like a series that's not Black Library. Like what's one of the best ones out there? I've heard Malazan is amazing.
Hey, Steve, what's your opinion on the new work release? I cannot wait.
He's excited.
I cannot wait. Hey, Steve, can you grab Luka real quick and talk about the new vampire counts? Because I feel like this one is close. We'll never ever get to a sit and talk emergency. Would love to hear what a couple of fantasy players think about the whole new models. Okay, so my take is you could buy those models and put them on square bases and have the best looking Warhammer Fantasy vampire counts.
Absolutely, without
and we haven't seen all. There's definitely more models coming out than we've seen.
I expect there'll be dire wolves. There'll probably be like corpse carts.
I didn't even think of that. Yeah. Dire wolves, corpse carts. There'll be something new that's completely new.
It'll be something.
Maybe a whole new Vargolf.
Maybe new Vargolf. I'm hoping, and what it looks like is true. It isn't
new hard body model.
It's not super deep into the. It's more old Gothic horror style, which I'm a big fan of, and I like that they took that direction. I don't mind this. This is fine. That's not for me though. Typically, like I like the models are beautiful. The design is outstanding. Literal master craftsman on these models, right? I just like the old school. Like,
yeah,
I love.
Same.
Yeah, exactly. Right?
I don't like the new aesthetic. They're not bad.
No,
they're just not me.
They're insane. They're insanely
If the old world wasn't if the old world wasn't announced, there's this army here, the Realm Lords, and this new Soulblight army for sure that I would have bought and put on square bases to make fantasy armies for sure.
Yeah, well, these guys make excellent. You'd probably play at a bigger scale, I guess. Could you get them up?
I feel like the Realm Lords are the Soulblight are going to fit fine on the proper.
I don't think the Realm Lords would fit on the 25 mil very well.
That's a good point because on 32 rounds, you probably have to go 25 square. Yeah, they wouldn't work.
Yeah.
Another comment about the Malazan series.
Yeah, just because I had asked people one more quick little thing about the Soulblight release. It very much looks like it is just a reprint of the Legions of Nagash book, but with a focus on the vampires as the leaders as opposed to the Mortex. Because in that book, Neferata and Manfred are going to be in it because they're both Soulblight. They're both vampires. Nagash probably won't be in that. If you look, they took Legions of Nagash and they're probably splitting it because a lot of Legions of Nagash went into Bone Reapers because Nagash and Archon the Black are Bone Reapers. They work with the Bone Reapers. And then the Morghast as well went Bone Reaper. Whereas literally everything else in that book fits perfectly in Soulblight Gravelords. Because they showed the White King off, so you got to assume Black Knights and Graveguard are going to be part of it. They didn't show those off. Zombies and skeletons, obviously part of it. They showed Blood Knights, so a recreation of Blood Knights.
Bring back the Bone Giant.
They brought Bone Giant. They had the Fell. I would love a Bone Giant.
Fellbats.
I would love a Bone Giant for Bone Reapers. That'd be super cool.
I know.
Like a giant ass construct. They have Fellbats, so that means they're creatures of the night, which means you could expect dire wolves as well.
I would think.
And then they could, and Soulblight is also Vargeist, so if they're going to go Vargeist, they could. The Varg Golf is already locked into Flesh Eater Course now that I think about it. Because that's a character for.
Oh, you're right.
There won't be any Flesh Eater Court stuff in there.
Something.
Yeah, there probably won't be any Flesh Eater Course. So expect a reprint of. There's probably going to be Gravestate. There's going to be an enhancement on the Bloodlines. There are more rules for Bloodlines.
Exactly.
They have Bloodline rules now, but they're very tame. It's just a +2 move and fly, or reroll hit rolls of 1 when you charge. That's like it.
So what I've seen so far, of all the Sigma armies, that is the army that I can see myself. I'm not going to because Luka kind of claimed him. Like that's the army I can see myself buying and painting because it has the old world aesthetic that I miss.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not that I dislike. Games Workshop miniatures are the best. There's no denying that. Mm-hmm. They look really cool. The aesthetic is just not quite my thing anymore.
Well, that's been the like not the issue, but like the deterrent for AOS for me. Like they are fantastic models. They're fantastical. I love that old school like basic. Now I like their take on new engineering and new design, the new monopose dynamic poses for these models, but they're the old school look. Right, because you have your zombies that are all like, instead, like because all the old fantasy zombies are holding a stick with like their arm out, or like they have 2 arms out.
So basically, they look so nice that so years ago when I was in my 20s, armies you got like maybe 2 a year, like a year, and sometimes not even. Maybe it's like just 1 a year. Like this would be an army I would, even though Luke could play, I would jump on and make my own.
Right.
But because I know a month later there'll be another army to come out, like we're gonna I'll take the next one. Like it is so beautiful. I never liked the play style, but it's so beautiful. I want them. But like if Luka wasn't here, I would have grabbed them.
Zombies are one of my favorite. Like Magic the Gathering, Black Magic zombies, for vampire counts 100%. Tomb Kings, favorite aesthetics in any game. Necrons, Warhammer 40k. It's like 100% my go-to. Like I will do that.
Elves and Undead for me.
They could have. The only reason I don't play Legion. Why don't I play Legion? Because the rules aren't super updated.
They don't really feel the part of the game anymore.
Right.
They don't proper.
Yeah. It feels cool, but the problem is like with all the shooting, it's very easy to take out the characters. Very easy to take my rules away right away. So like I just feels kind of bad playing it. And I like to say no matter how bad they are, I play them. But if they have ways to kind of protect the characters because of all the hordes of undead,
zombies eat up wounds, right?
They can. The necromancers have. I would assume necromancers are going to be in the book too. I would assume. But
they're going to bring back Kemler?
Oh, maybe. I don't know. I don't remember having them 10 times. But like the zombies have a rule on a 4-up. They take the hit. That should probably go to a 2-up instead. That a zombie takes a hit for like a necromancer.
No, 4-up's enough.
It's not. That's the unfortunate thing.
You've lost them?
I've pretty much every time, yeah. That's why I kind of stopped playing him. Even with the 4-up, because he passes off to any summonables like skeletons.
3-up. 2-up seems a bit too much. 3-up.
3-up, sure, yeah.
Okay.
I'd be a 3-up.
Now that we're rules writers, right?
Right, yeah.
All right. Hey there, a re-question. I must have asked this before. Excuse me. I haven't seen much endless spells in your amazing bat reps. I wonder why this is. Because they are so terrible that they're not worth the points, pretty much. Or they just not tickle your pickle. I know the Mighty Steve used them as well as Seraphim, but personally, it would be nice to it would be nice to bring in some variation to some Cities of Sigmar matches. Since the army has a bit of interaction, excited to hear your views on endless spells. There is a reply, probably related that they don't do double turns anymore, making some of the predatory endless spells not working as intended. So that's actually not true. The endless spells, it was a cool idea that didn't work. Predatory endless spells don't make sense. They cost a slot. You're casting. You cost points. You got to cast them.
Backfire.
Your opponent can take control of them. There's too many negatives that nobody brought them. Yeah. So when we decided to no longer do double turns, that wasn't even a consideration because we already, without discussing it, stopped bringing them. Predatory endless spells do not work for Age of Sigmar. Like honestly, if somebody else is using them, great. If you're enjoying it, great. But we found, while not discussing it, we've all
the neutral, the generic ones, mind you, like
predatory.
Oh, just in general. Well, there's predatory ones that you control no matter what.
Are there predatory ones? I thought predatory meant it goes the other way.
No, predatory means it moves.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it just goes around.
Yeah, so we've seen like the number of armies get judgments or other things only they control. Yeah. Seraphim took bound on the spells only they control. But the thing is, if another Seraphim player's on the table, they can also control the bound ones.
Right. Yeah.
Kind of dumb, but that doesn't really happen too often, right? So yeah, the fact that people they're not fun to play with. They're not.
There's a couple safe ones, but they don't really have a great effect. The Geminids are still very good, and the wall is still very good.
If you're going to play Seraphim, you're going to bring the bound to Geminids.
Right, yeah.
The wall that can't backfire on you, so I like the wall.
Good. Yeah, you just dispel it when you need to, resummon it somewhere else. The wall's super reliable. The Geminids are great to debuff like giant Death Star units, like Fire Slayer guys.
And they go so far, like they move so far away from the.
You're super safe. They'll never hit you back right away. Yeah. Which is the Geminids are pretty safe in that regard. Everything else just has mortal wounds, and you can just find more efficient ways to do mortal wounds than bringing endless spells. Yeah.
So Geminids is one I can see bringing nowadays, but even then, actually, it might be worth buying Geminids for Limited Throne Lords. But
the Geminids are out. Geminids
are probably too good.
The Geminids they got nerfed and they're still too good. You used to be able to give someone -1 attack on the all-over attack and -1 to hit, and then 2d3 mortal wounds.
No, you never could get hit by both.
They eroded. They did at first.
They did, really?
Yeah, because they eroded saying you can no longer get affected by both.
If you get hit by one, the second one counteracts first.
Right. Yeah. It was insane how powerful those were right away.
All right, we're almost at the end here. G'day, Steve. 2 potentially short questions. Nice. Luka made mention he's trying out bolt action. Is there a possibility of seeing some bolt action or Conflict 47 backups on the channel? Well, let's talk about that one first. I don't believe Luka and Josh should be
a little too close to home with the bolt action. It's a serious historical war game, right?
Whoops! I hit my mic again. Bolt action is not a game for me.
Fair. Conflict 47 though.
Now, if we play Conflict 47, I'll get on that one. No problem.
Right. Yeah. Conflict 47. If you're unaware, it is what would happen if World War II went to 1947 and all the hypothetical weird stuff started coming out, like vampires and werewolves and antifreeze blood guys.
I can't articulate accurately. I can't explain why I will never play bolt action. I am not a sensitive person where like this offends me, that offends me. That's not me. I don't care. But for some reason, I don't like the setting. I don't know. I can't articulate it.
It's a horrible time in human history.
It's a horrible, but there have been other horrible times in history that I'll play like the what's the other game? Hail Caesar and stuff like that.
Sure. Yeah.
Other horrible times, right?
Yeah, bad things happen then too.
Bad things happen. Like I not to make light of anything, but like for some reason I just can't get behind bolt action. Now you take it to Conflict 47, you take it to Fantastical into a fake universe. I'm all down for that.
Yeah, it's all hypothetical.
And I don't know why. Like things don't offend me. Like I typically don't care about nothing bothers me like that. But something about it, guys, it doesn't interest me. That and I watched the first time I was thinking about getting into it years ago. I watched my buddy Ben. You've seen him in Barracks numerous times, a little guy, and Josh play a game. And these guys apparently they're both playing. Everybody's playing veterans and everybody's in buildings and.
Yep.
And like
sixes into sixes.
They're just pulling out a dice and I roll like 7 dice and I got no sixes. You're fine. Then it's my turn. I rolled a bunch of dice. I got no sixes. You're fine. I rolled a bunch of dice. I got no sixes. You're fine. It was like it was race to watch these two monkeys roll sixes.
The because in question there it's -1 to wound something in a building, right? Typically, and you are wounded based on your experience of like how often you stick your head out of a window to look for something. You like maybe you do it once and you get the whole idea and you never have to do it again. That'd be like a veteran, right? They know what's going on. They know not to stick their head out. So you only wound a veteran on a 5 because it's hard to catch a veteran. A veteran will keep down and will never get shot at. So when you tag that onto also being in a building, which a veteran is more exceptional at surviving in, 6 is to wound them.
Yeah, it was very unappealing.
But on top of that, it's like -2 to shoot into a building, so you hit on 3s normally. So if you're at long range, it's -3 to hit. So you're hitting on 6s, wounding on 6s, and if you have to hit on a 7, in fantasy,
That's what it was. There's only 6s.
So it's 6s and a 4s in fantasy. This game, the second you have to hit on something worse than a 6 is 6 and a 6. So it's 6 and a 6 and a 6. Super unlikely to do damage. So veterans veterans getting shot in a building are almost never. You have to use mortars and you have to use shells to get them out of there. Guns won't do it.
So, for me, it's miniatures first. They don't have it. The miniatures are boring. This is why I don't like actual military. They're just boring for me. But Conflict 47, we got bearmen and robots and vampires. Now, man.
Yeah, zombies even.
So once you bring the interesting, fantastical creatures and stuff like that, I can get behind it. But the game's not interesting for me. But I know Josh loves it, and Luka's dabbling.
I'm dabbling. It's just fun. I just like games. It's I love any alternate activation game system. I would always rather play 40K and AOS with the same idea. It just takes a lot longer to resolve. Plus the rules are a little wonky, so you have to kind of like house rule things on the spot. But even if you're playing casually, that's kind of fine. But I think it's great. I mean, but it can be. There's a lot of taboo like subjects when it comes to bolt action too. You can play like
because like there's
you
always
can literally play an army of children with guns.
That's the thing. Like,
Yeah, right.
I don't because I literally don't want to play a game where I'm going against a bunch of children with guns.
Or you can play the Waffen, right? You can play like the Nazi elite, right? And it's like they have like all this. They can have the symbology on their tanks and everything. It's kind of weird to represent that, maybe, right? Like,
well, that's the thing, right? Like that would be historically accurate.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you don't want to change history.
Yeah.
And it's
You learn from history.
You do learn from history.
Yeah.
It's a whole area I don't want to broach.
Right.
Okay, so Big Monkey, Steve, new Lumineth stuff, big hit or miss, or just meh?
Check out the review.
I'll say hit. Mr. the Mountain, what's your favorite AOS or 40K army to play and favorite army aesthetically? Favorite army to play is probably orcs. I always have fun with my orcs. Aesthetically, orcs are up there. Probably my Dark Angels. The reason why I love Dark Angels so much is their lore is really cool. But I love the bone, the black, the green.
Yeah, you can
aesthetically, I like.
I like their unique, the robes, the hoods, and the swords everywhere. I think they're the knights. They're the medieval knights of Warhammer 40K. I think that's kind of cool.
AOS, I'm not a big fan of any army aesthetically. Lumineth, I kind of dig, but like I won't play them just
only
the
like
models.
the Venari stuff mostly, I assume.
I actually can't stand the Venari Shield Wardens.
I thought those were Alarisk. Or was it only the cows, the Alarisk?
No. Sorry. I hate the cows. They don't even count. I hate the Alarisk. I can't stand the Shield Wardens because their spears are so long. They always get in my way.
Oh, the shield. Oh, literally.
So they're hard.
I think it's cool. It's a cool model.
Their aesthetics make it difficult to play with.
Yes,
but they are beautiful. I think the Soul Blades might be the nicest looking AOS army. The new Soul Blade stuff coming out.
Yeah, I think it looks
like what's the best looking AOS army?
Probably, I'm gonna say so. I think Nighthunt's really cool.
That's a little too one-dimensional for me.
I like Bone Reapers is weird. I have a hard time really.
I don't like the Bone Reaper
I like
aesthetic.
the Stalker. I like the Stalker, the 4 heads with the big weapon. I think that's cool. But other than that, though, like I like the little elite infantry, but they kind of look weird because they in a way look naked too when they walk around.
Maybe the Iron Jaws.
For me, it'll be the Soul. It'll be the
me.
Soul Blade Gravelords. Absolutely.
Well, yeah. Okay.
And
So
Nighthaunt. I think Nighthaunt's really nice.
Before them, without Soul Blade, I can't pick one that's like Beast of Chaos.
Sure, there you go.
That's it. I actually love everything about the way they look. There's my favorite army aesthetically.
Okay.
All right, so was that the last one? That is the last one. I'm going to quickly jump over on YouTube and just check real quick.
There's probably a lot there.
Why don't you tell them a story while I scan this real quick?
Tell them a story. Well, I'm very excited for Soul Blade Gravelords to come out and expect a lot of battle reports with them. It's going to,
Somebody just noticed your tattoo?
Okay, cool. Yep. That's a new Phyrexia symbol from the new Phyrexia set in Magic the Gathering. It's a set that came out before Innistrad. I love the Phyrexians. I think I like the original Phyrexians more when it comes to Magic the Gathering. Back when we have the Weatherlight crew and Karn and like Gerald and like Sisay the captain. All those stories were super cool back in the day. You know what? I forgot. I used to read those books too. The whole Weatherlight saga in Magic the Gathering. I thought that was kind of cool with. Well, you have Yawgmoth and all that stuff too. There's a lot of cool history, man.
Yawgmoth. All right, so that's it. Next week is Matthew, like I said before. Leave your comment on miniwargaming.com. Find this video, put it in there. Address it at Matthew. If you have any response to myself or Luka in that video, we may or not see it. May or may not see it.
If you really want us to get back to, I usually
just
respond.
Email me.
I respond to emails actively. So like, if you have any questions about anything I said or follow up or whatever, you can email me and I'll get back to it.
I read my emails and then I mean to get back to people.
I do that sometimes too. Like I'll read an email, I'm like, I'll get back to that. Ooh, I'm doing something right now. I'll respond to that in like an hour.
That's the thing, because when you try to squeeze your email reading in whenever you can, it's not always the opportune time to write an email back.
Right, yeah. I'll read whenever
I'm
I
in
can.
line at the grocery store or whatever, I'm reading my emails.
Yeah, exactly that. And then you respond when you get home after you put away the groceries. Well, but then you realize, I'm going to sit down and watch the show. Oh, crap, that email. Happens. Well, folks, that's pretty much it. Thanks for tuning in. Hopefully we actually answered the questions to your liking. I know sometimes
We ramble a lot.
Ramble a lot.
We went off track a lot too. But
absolutely. That's when you include someone else that's going to happen. It by default makes this a lot longer. But if that's what you're into, maybe you're just painting, you just want to listen to someone talk. There you go. Done. Thanks for tuning in. I'll see you in like 3 weeks. Steve in 4, maybe me again. Enjoy Matthew next week. Watch some 40K or AOS. Happy wargaming.